All right, what's up, everybody? There's our flashback to our original Cone song. I figured it was fitting as we have Cone issues today. Who's in the Cone? The Cone is everything. What's up, everybody? Good morning, Coneheads. We got our puppies. The bus got here at 9:19. I was about ready to go off again. It says 9:04. I gave him one day. Hey, Shelly, good to see you. I know we're streaming. We got our YouTubers rocking and rolling. We got Facebook going. So let's show the puppies. We'll get right into it. Make sure I'm not double audio in here. Hey, Kristen, how's it going? Marie, yep, that's a cool song. Christy, yep. I don't want to take anything away from our boy Andy, but so I'll play his most of the time. But we had to bring out the new the new song to our old followers, because I don't think I played the Cone Again song this year. And the words are fitting. Back in the Cone again. Seems like the last week we've had cones bouncing everywhere. Imaginary cones, fake cones, new cones. So here's the puppies. This is Louie. This is Hunter. Your morning wake up. Hope you're drinking to your Louie cup. Hunter. So Louie's my coffee guy because he's got a coffee mug. Hunter might be the beer guy. The beer guy. The new Spuds McKenzie. So there you go. So all right. So let's get rolling here, and I got to click one little thing here, and then we'll show you everything. So obviously there's no more Marco. We're not going to talk about Marco. Marco's I think it's still a depression. Everybody in the Panhandle is completely mad about Marco. Marco tricked everybody, not us. We were showing it all the night before. I was finding our ABC pick of the day here. So Marco had zero impact along the upper Gulf Coast. It fizzled two nights ago. We had hurricane warnings up. Last night it was fizzled. That's how fast the tropics can change. Too much shear, but the Panhandle got hammered. Won't go into everything as far as what was sent to me. I had so many pictures and videos. I appreciate them all, but man, they got completely flooded out up there in the Panhandle and parts of South Alabama into Georgia too. So that sucked. But yeah, we'll do our shout out here to our Facebook Live sponsor all season long. Even when there's no hurricanes, we talk weather daily. We talk about weather all year long. But big thanks to ABC Fine Wine and Spirits. They always have cool stuff on their Facebook page. This is brand new. So looks like I should probably be drinking some of that. But not until the storm passes, I promise. I've been kicking it, man. I was up today at 5 o'clock doing the advisory. I slept. That's when you're obsessed, when you sleep from advisory 11 to advisory 5. But so anyway, big things at ABC. Big. All right. So here's the scoop. That was the satellite we're looking at. All right, so it's officially a hurricane now. Laura's officially a hurricane, and it's everything that we were worried about is coming true. It's intensifying. It's over open water. The hurricane hunters are finding a deeper pressure. I think it's 991 now, which is pretty low. The confidence is getting higher of a major hurricane. The official NHC track now has a M at landfall, indicating that. So, major hurricane likely coming. The big chatter this morning is this high pressure system is hot. Well, it's hot, but it's strong. So, a lot of the overnight models are now shifting a little bit to the west. And it's enough now that a lot of chatter is on that. A lot. Enough that if you're in Houston, you should be really watching close. We could have warnings up at 11 o'clock, advisory. And that's not good. So it's getting close. Landfall, unfortunately, it's going to be a Wednesday night landfall into Thursday morning. So I'll show you all the models and stuff. I post them all morning long, but the Euro. Now we joked about the Euro and others. The Euro in the past, it could sniff a system out 7, 8, 9, 10 days. But now we're within a 3-day window. You have to start taking into account the reliability of all models, and the Euro is now showing more of a west into Texas track, and a lot of their ensembles are shifted. So the N8C cone, almost all the models are west of the N8C center line. So we're likely to see a shift at 11 o'clock. I get a lot of requests. Shelly in our chat room for the Facebook supporters, somebody asked, how confident is this is not going to turn north into the Gulf? Very high confidence, very high. I can't see that happen. You got to think about this too. The whole history of this system has been naturally west, and I've seen it over the years. Storms get a pattern, and this storm is just always west of models. Not to say that, I mean, it doesn't mean anything. It's just it's trending west. So we got to watch that at 11 o'clock. Now, what this means, this is a really, this always comes down to such a tricky forecast for the NHC. So, a landfall here, let's say, and Houston's here, most of the heavy surge and strong stuff is always to the east side. But as soon as you move that center line, then all of a sudden, the surge worries really increase. So we'll have a little bit on the west side, but you got a lot more on the east side. So wherever this center sets up definitely is there's parts of Panama, that half the city had very little damage. Of course, the side that got the east side was damaged heavily. So that's what we got to watch. So that's the trends on that. So it's strengthening. Hurricane hunters are flying around there right now. Just got to prepare for the worst. And this is kind of not related tropic-wise, but I thought this was kind of fitting. I don't know if it holds true or not, but we have a heat advisory here in the west coast of Florida, and I saw it this morning dumping Emily out of the school bus. Crystal clear skies indicating we have a pretty strong high pressure over us, and the fact that we have a heat advisory, we got a big heat dome, and that usually is indicating that high pressure is pretty strong. Not that that's any scientific proof, but it is indeed we have this high pressure over us. And if you look at steering currents, yesterday we saw a little anticyclone setting up, and you can still see it right here, which is a calm area. But look at that. See, this is what the forecast has always been. Very light shear ahead, and that is not good. So all this energy here is pushing out. So very, very low shear ahead. Somebody's asked about Louisiana. Well, I just went over that. The trend is west. I can't, this time, if I had to say money, it's not going to the upper Gulf Coast. It's hard to go against the models. Spaghetti models are usually, when you have, here's the 00Z. Nope, 06Z. We'll have the 0Z any second, actually. These might just came out. Nope, 12Z, I mean. So your 12Z models are, these just came out. These are on Tropical Tidbits. So here's the latest models. And still hovered, state line. But, we got a couple scragglers pointing to the west. Actually, looks like a lot of them are now a little bit more west of state line. These are the brand new 12Z models from tropicaltidbits.com. And then if we look at the latest other model site that I have that has the ensembles on it, this is the one that's a little more concerning as far as the west track goes. So These pink lines are your European ensembles. The gray lines are your GFS ensembles. And as you can see, obviously, let me get rid of the big zoomed in marker there. Let me try one more time. There it is. All right, so this is your state line right here. That's state line. So, I mean, as you can see, state line, a lot of models are now to the west. So we'll see at 11. I'm not going to talk about west as much anymore until we get an official forecast. But the European ensembles, the fact that we have so many, means that the confidence is increasing of a shift to the west. So a lot of support for that, unfortunately. Not good. Again, back to update 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock Eastern, we had Hurricane Hunters found it is now a hurricane. So no big surprise there. So this is the official stuff. So the NHC page has all the stuff you need. They should be issuing warnings possibly here at 11 o'clock, which is 10 o'clock Central Time. So the cone has been golden, okay? The cone is anywhere that the center line can go. So I think people get confused when I make posts that says the track remains consistent. It's impossible, this far out to predict 20 miles swings as far as the center line. That's why they say never focus on the center line. But yeah, the center line shifted a little bit to the west. So the overall track is the same. 3-day cone, they might just adjust the center line. But you just remember, anywhere in this 3-day cone, I'm seeing a lot less support for over this way. But we could just see the overall cone shift, putting more Texas in play. A couple notes here too, though. One, it's going to be a hurricane at night developing. That's bad. The other factor is the inland hurricane will spread northward a lot, and that's something like during Michael people didn't realize. And Charlie with Florida, Gene, all these storms get so much attention about landfall and coastal. People forget that if you could live 50, 100 miles north of this and still experience hurricane conditions if it's a major hurricane. So if you're north, don't think about just where it's hitting landfall. It's going to take a slow weakening because it's moving fast. This is not going to stall. Harvey, came up here and then it stopped. There was nowhere to go. It just stopped. So we're not getting that. This is very high confidence it's going to curve. There's a front coming. It's going to get sucked up into it. And, it's going to spread rains through the weekend, unfortunately, for the central East Coast states. So it's no stalling, but we're still going to get some big-time rain. You can't discount that. The fact is the farther north it goes, it's going to take longer to weaken. So we get 115 here. We could still have a hurricane possibly, into reaching northern Louisiana. So remember that part. All right, some of the important graphics on my site here that we need to show you that I added. So here's the surge map, 7 to 11 feet. They might shift it, who knows, but 7 to 11, that's nothing to screw around with. If we get another intensity increase, then this will increase. So we're going to have surge all the way into Louisiana, even the Mississippi, 4 to 6 foot. So see, again, even with the center line here, very little on this side, mostly over here. That's because of the east side. So that's where it's so important wherever this center goes, because you're going to have more effects that you might not have expected. So any shift to the west it affects the east less, but not as much as it affects the west, because now the west is on the east side, if that makes sense. So who's buffering? No buffer. Jamie, yeah, we got a lot of great links on our site, hurricane preparedness. You can, I'll go over those here in a little bit. Take a break here in a second. Take a drink of coffee. So, Marco's gone. Laura is strengthening. it does appear we're going to see a west track towards, I don't want to say direct hit Houston, but if you live in Houston and surrounding areas, you need to be watching close. Some of the model trends that I posted here on Facebook earlier showed stronger than what the NHC is showing. We'll let it load here, and then I'll blow it up. There we go. So the GFS 949, the HMON 952, the HWARF 940s, 930s, latest UK 956, latest Euro around 941. So these are the latest, 6 pretty reliable models as far as intensity goes this close in the game. And, 940 the Euro, 940 HWARF, 940 GFS. That's a strong Hurricane. And here's those ensembles again. So, and if you look what that means, I posted this. This is the old Saffir-Simpson scale. But 940 pressure, definitely category 3. Under 944, 4. So it could be, they might bump it up even more come 11 a.m. So that would be big news. So again, all these models I got a ton of great links on the site. And then one of the newest ones I just added was the rainfall map is now live here. 6 to 10 inches of rain, obviously where landfall is, but look, 6 to 10 inches of rain is stretching into northern Louisiana and even Arkansas. So these are those inland effects into Thursday that you might not be expecting. So even though we have a landfall down in the Gulf, Arkansas is going to be feeling it. And these could bump up higher if our storm continues to grow. Tons of moisture. Here's the flood maps. Flooding on Thursday as we go north, but overall these are the flood potentials going north. So that's all on the site. Hurricane hunters are flying out there right now. TropicalTidbits.com. Going to continue to find a stronger system, and they measure a lot of the hurricane hunters do upper drops on the atmosphere, and apparently they've been doing some this morning, and they're finding that high pressure that's over the Gulf might be a tick stronger than expected, and that's why we're seeing this last second little push more to the west. So they're not only do the hurricane hunters analyze the actual storm, they analyze the upper air patterns ahead. Sometimes that data is on here. Oh, there it is right there. So if this is on Tropical Tidbits, but here's the Gulf up here. These are the Gulf Coast states, and here's Florida. But they're actually measuring, the high pressure here, and they're monitoring the strength of the high as it builds in. Stronger high, less chance of an abrupt turn, and more of a shift push kind of south. So that's the importance of the hurricane hunters. They're out there they're out there measuring more than just the wind speed. So but it's some serious stuff. All right, now we have that supporter group. I was shocked at the amount of people putting their dots where they live. We have fans that actually live where the eye is going, and that is scary. So, man, my heart goes out to you. I mean, this is we're watching real time the possibility of a major hurricane, and the U.S. doesn't get hit with major hurricanes very often. So we're hopefully it's just gonna be bad. It's not good. Robin, yeah, I think they're all preparing for Houston. So there you go. All right, I'm gonna take a Mountain Dew. Well, no, we got coffee. Look at that. I got my cup for you, Dawn. My Louis cup. I'm like, should I do or that? So I'll finish the coffee, then I'll do the do. So, all right. So here's the website. Listen, so I got a ton of great information on here. Ton of sponsors, supporters. I don't really call them sponsors. These are just companies. Most of these companies are storm-specific companies, and they provide services to hurricane and storm victims. So they do great, and and that's a lot of where our fan base comes from. Our storm, linemen, line women, insurance adjusters, claims adjusters, arborists. It's cool to know, but so we got another great new company this year. I just picked, we like to endorse our sponsors, but 1-800-PACK-OUTS here. They're ready to rock and roll too. They're going to be in the storm, and they come in and help clean up all sorts of storm damages. They're there to store your stuff, rebuild, clean, help you get back in. Those are things you don't think about. You get flooded out, or you get water damage, and you get your house. There's companies that actually come in, and and they come in, they completely clean your house and help your storage and bring it back to life. So we had a buddy, Rick Bacon, last year. I don't know if he's tuned in anymore, but he lived through Michael and shared his story to our page, and it was a mess, man. I mean, and we have another fan up that way. I mean, it was just to see the roofs collapse, and what the water damage does. So it's when you start to see the stuff like that and what people go through 6 months after a storm, you don't want a category 3-4 hurricane coming at you anymore. I mean, I was thinking one day I wanted one. I'm like, man, let's get one. Come on, man. So, yeah, but anyway, big shout out to 800-PACK-OUTS. So and all our sponsors. We have so many great ones. I'll try to showcase what they do here soon. We're trying to post videos from a lot of our supporters on what they do and how they help the community. So, all right, so let's look at all the models. We're gonna have a new update. Don't forget, we're streaming live on YouTube. Let's make sure it's working. Had a lot of requests over the years to be on YouTube, and we are. So that's cool. Welcome, YouTubers. All right, so let's. I guess we'll look at the individual models. And long range. Listen, long range. We're still looking at that middle Atlantic wave the end of the month. I know there's people in here that don't live in Texas, want to know what's next, but we are still getting signs that our next wave will be entering the Greater Antilles, maybe the first second. So end of the month, it's going to be somewhere out here, a little wave. We've been showing 1st and 2nd of September, the Euro's starting to pick up. Deja vu, man. I don't want it. And then look, there's another one behind it. So not going to talk about that anymore. Just think about that. That's the 31st. If you're living in the islands, we have a lot of fans down there. Could be looking at a wave rolling in. It's been really consistent on the models. GFS showing a little bump too. So that's the 31st. A couple models had it up here, but so there you go. All right. All right, so let's look at the high resolution models. So these are coming in every 6 hours. They're fed with all the Hurricane Hunter data, and these are on Tropical Tidbits. So they're getting all the fresh data, the drop zones. I think that's how you say them. I don't even know. Drop zones. A lot of people ask about evacuation advice too. Listen, I'll never do that. That's your personal choice if you're going to stay. I have some great links on the site. In fact, I need a shout out to, I don't remember your name, buddy, but I'm going to find out right now because I had a fan. Man, I don't read my email and I get hit with. I get so many emails a day. Oh my God, it's crazy. So it was Timothy Martin. So thanks, Tim. He pointed out a few links that weren't working on my site. They changed, and a lot of them are government sites. I'm like, how could links last year work, and then this year they don't? Because they repoint. But anyway, as far as what I'm getting at, there's a link on here. Hurricanes, evacuate or stay. Third line down, evacuate or stay. And this is put out by a government site, Disaster Assistance. So, read up. Have a family plan. Prepare your evacuation routes. Great information. The Facebook's great and stuff, but the website's actually a tool for hurricanes. It's more than just a cool place to get models, and a lot of people use these links. And I try to update them. There was a few that were actually moves. I'm glad that he emailed me. But anyway, that's on there. And there's other things on here that people don't realize. I found some new pet links, but Pet Safety in a Storm. Humane Society of Tampa has this one. What to do? What to do now if you have a pet. People don't think about pets. You got to check with evacuation hotels. Like, most of them waive pets. Most of them. So it might be a good idea to call them. But food and water for the pets, and pictures of your pets, because if you lose your pet, it's a lot easier to identify a pet by having a photo that you can share. So anyway, I got all these links on here. A lot of good stuff. There's even a good one here. I hope it works. Kids deal with natural disasters. Oh yeah, there you go. So this is a National Child Stress Network. So if you got kids and you're worried about them, then this is a good site too. So check them all out. So all right, back to GFS. All right, so here's the latest 06Z GFS, and look, a little bit trend to the west, and 949. So strong system. This is the overnight Wednesday night. So it's about as bad as you can get. We don't want that. 10 millimeter winds. I can show some other wind map sites we can look at. In fact, we can look at the latest GFS on Windy just to give you an idea what that looks like on this map at least. And we can look at the latest GFS too. So GFS and Euro are on Windy. A lot of people use Windy apparently. You just got to remember, when you go to windy.com, it defaults to the European model. So, and my chat's frozen. Imagine that. Nope, it came back. So there's this is the look at the Euro, and unfortunately the Euro 947 wind gusts off the charts. This is Thursday, 1 a.m. Galveston, Houston. It's still trending a little bit to the east of Houston, but right between Houston and Beaumont. But that's the Euro. This site, you can click on it and get winds. 160 mile an hour wind gust. I mean, come on. I can't even imagine. 164. Let's go to the core. So 165. These are wind gusts, but still 160 mile. 100. Not good. All right. So there's the Euro. The and then the GFS, very similar. A little bit more to the east. This isn't the latest GFS, by the way. What the heck? They haven't loaded the latest GFS yet. That's why you got to have multiple sites. Because if you were going off the Windy site right now, it's not showing 9. It's only showing 993, but that's not the latest. So you got to be careful sometimes too. You got to make sure you got the latest models. So the Windy has not updated it yet. So we'll go back to GFS on. See, that's where you got to get your information from a multiple set of, because if I would have got up this morning and just posted these two, the GFS showing weaker into state line, it's incorrect. The latest GFS is 949, and that's quite a bit stronger. So all right, there's that one. Let's look at the latest H-Wharf. It's been very, everybody. So one thing that has proven correct, the HMON and H-Wharf have been spot on again with intensity. I don't think the others never caught up during Isaiah and Hannah, and now they are. And they started this intensity a couple days ago. and now the others have caught up. So it's, again, going into the next storm, CMC and Icon kind of called it first as far as development of things, and the HMON and H-Wharf have been pretty spot on. So again, H-Wharf is ticking close to the state line. This is overnight hours, 943 millibar. And let's talk about the inland threat. So, well, this one doesn't go out. Well, we can go to the parent version. Hold on. So this gives you an idea going in time. It'll still be 967 halfway up through Louisiana. So it'll still be a hurricane. It takes its time. 979. So we could possibly still have a hurricane going into Arkansas. That's the main point. When I came back driving through Talladega on the way home where Michael hit, the devastation in the cotton fields, pecan. I know I mentioned it before, but they were like screaming, "We need people to talk about us," because they're all focused on landfall by the water. They had tons of agricultural damage, power line. I mean, we drove through Albany, Georgia, and it was terrible. Totally like no not very very little mention of the damages. I mean, it was far-reaching. So those are things to think about as you if you live outside of the landfall area. So anyway, H-Wharf is 943. So there's three more strong ones. So I mean, at this point, it seems very, the GFS parallel, the newer version of the GFS coming out, 946. Even the CMC caught up to a little bit of intensity, but not much. CMC used to be the most aggressive. Now it's the most conservative. But it's always been pretty decent on the track. So I don't expect a huge shift just because the European ensembles say it. The Hurricane Hunter data is getting fed into all the models. So again, the next round of models, the 12Zs, are going to even be better. More data is fed into them. So we'll see. Timing. Hey, Whitney. Nope, timing's right on track. Wednesday night, it's going to start to approach the coast. East side is always the worst side. There's somebody said something about taping windows. There's actually a article on my site in that little box that says don't tape your windows. Boo, you're still getting rain from Marco. Yes, isn't that crazy? I'd love to sit and talk about Marco, but we got to worry about it. So let's look at Weather Nerds. Let's look at some other maps, and let me close what I got here. So again, surge huge, 7 to 11 feet. If we get a new update and it's stronger, we could see higher surge values. I now have some great surge maps here. I had to email Sierra this morning. Oh, they just updated it. They love us. Good. I think it was in the process of updating. But one of our favorite sites for looking at surge is the Sierra site. And I have the link right below the NHC surge. Potential surge map, potential surge potential. This is the potential. In fact, I should probably put Sierra on there. But anyway, this just gives you an idea, what you can expect based on current track. This thing shifts, any bit this way, then all this slides this way. So that's the key thing on surge. The surge is very non-existent on the west side. That's because the storms just constantly push. You do get surge on the center, but the wide-ranging stuff is way more to the east of center. So there's that, great site. There's other sites too that you should probably know about if you're new to the site, on my page here, we have potential storm surge map. And this is put out by NOAA. And you can zoom into where you live, and you can change parameters on storm surge, or here. And you can change the category to here, category 3. And you can actually zoom street level almost, who's going to be under what water. And these legends are 9 foot, 6 foot, 3 foot. So that's just basically showing you how inland the water could go. So it's a great tool. And again, it's kind of confusing, to me a lot too, until I really thought about it. But, let's say we have the eye here, and the eye is going this way. So you might be in a hurricane warning like this, right? But you're not going to get this surge over here. So surge, again, it's heavily weighted on the east side. You will get it, close to the core, but you almost get what we saw here in Tampa Bay and many other places. You get the reverse surge where the water actually, the winds coming, counterclockwise start to push up against your surge. And that's what happened in Tampa that so many people remember. The surge actually came out of the bay. So as the winds rotate, you get that initial coastal surge at the core, but then away from the core, the winds are actually blowing from the north side and actually push the water out. It's weird. That's the water that comes around. That's where the surge develops. All right, enough of that. Let me close out of here. Get out of this window. So, anyway. So, there you go, Pennsylvania. Hey, Alyssa. Panhandle of what? Texas? I don't want to talk about Panhandle of Texas didn't get anything. But Florida, nothing. Nope. Maybe just some gusty winds. Key West has got their squalls are past. They had a few pretty nasty squall lines yesterday roll through Key West. Periods of some pretty intense, but a couple stray showers passing by. A couple little guys, little guys, little sunshine, little tropics. All right, so everything's cool. I'll slow down a little bit and look at what's going on. Cajun Navy, yes, they're good fans of the site. Also, another great site here that loves us. I need to get your Cajun Navy link, by the way. But we have 50 Star Search and Rescue. They're heading out there. You can find them on Facebook. And all the folks that are there to help, all the line workers heading out there. I'm sure a lot of them had to switch base from Florida Panhandle in Upper Gulf or beeline across Interstate 10. I bet you if we looked at Interstate 10 traffic cams right now, we'd see a convoy of big old line trucks. This is what they look like right now. This is it. Remember the movie? I wonder if all the line workers are playing Convoy right now. I better not play it. Facebook mutes me when I have music on, but I love that Convoy song, man. I grew up with the CB, right? Breaker 19. What's up, Telford? So I'll try to read everything, man. They come in through. So individual areas. Listen, I'm again, if you're on the east side of the center, you're going to get the east side effects are far-reaching compared to the west side. So if this thing tracks to the west, more of obviously Galveston, Houston should be watching more, obviously, especially if it shifts to the west. That shifts the rain a little bit to the west. But the overall surge and effects on the east side, you'll still get these squall lines. It's a pretty large system. We haven't looked at that yet. The squall lines can be far-reaching. So unfortunately, this looks like it's trying to take shape to be fairly large. It's still a little, not the, it's got a little dry air. We saw that dry air yesterday on the north side. So I'm wondering, it's kind of pushing itself through there. But we showed this little pocket of dry air yesterday, right here. And it was on top of it yesterday. A little bit right here. But this seems like it's moving out. That looks like it's moving up. So doesn't look like big players. But as far as the size of it, let's go to weathernerds.org. Look at that guy coming. Holy cow. King Kong's brother. What do we call that guy? Do you just want to quit hurricane season and just not do it anymore? So I grew up with a CB. I used to, when I grew up, I raced radio control cars and traveled the country racing cars. Now I travel the country taking Emily to softball. But I had a CB. I would talk to truckers. How's it looking over your shoulder? That meant like, where's the cops? Because we didn't have like Waze back then and Google Maps. We had the truckers save me a million times. Got a Smoky at 343. I even set somebody up one time that was giving me a hard time. I knew there was a speed trap ahead because of the CB, and was racing him a little bit. Next thing you know, I hit the brakes before the bridge, and he went over the bridge, and guess what? Got busted. And he was tailgating me and all kinds of crap, so I didn't feel too bad. Hopefully he got a warning. Not really. So that could be our, this could be our, long range, if you're here, wondering, 8:30 seems to be the time frame ish. That would be the end of the month. That would be 5 days from now. So that's probably the one. We had shown a lot about it. People have been emailing me, but it's, slowly showing a wave. So, this is the time of year you watch waves. We can't do nothing about it. Look at this front, though. That's rare to see that. So some of the modeling actually had this curving. So don't get too worked up yet. This weakness sticks around, and some of the Euros had it pulling north. So don't worry about that one yet. Way too far out. But we're going to zoom in on our Laura here, and we'll take a look at it. Get an idea how big she is. Let's put her in loop mode. Well, let's see how big it is first on the measure tool. So it's 415, 400. It's tightening up a little bit, so maybe 400 miles wide. That's still big. This looks like it's trying to juice up here. We'll see if this moisture can wrap around. So the core of the storm is still, I don't know how to get out of his measure tool. Now it's still in the measure tool. Let's see, zoom in. All right, draw a box. Okay. So once you hit the zoom mode, it kind of I haven't figured that out yet. But the moisture field is definitely trying to work itself up around here. You can just kind of see it. So even though it's dry, you're starting to see a little bit more. So the storm itself is technically there. It's just got some dry air. Maybe some will get in there, but nobody's predicting that. So we're not going to predict that either. But anyway, it's definitely balling up, getting a lot of hot tires. It's very structured, got a lot of spin. It's on its way. So we just got to sit back and watch, wait, and see, right? Nothing we can do. It's coming. Nobody's hyping at this point. It's moving, I think, 18. Somebody just asked. 17, 18. It's kind of been steady. Current wind speed's 75. It's moving 17. So we'll just leave it on this map before we say goodbye. Because, man, we go through an hour quick. I don't know where it goes. But I know our focus has definitely shifted from East Coast to Texas. And last night we saw a lot of Texas fans chiming in. And I didn't realize in our little supporter group page how many actual fans we have that live in the crosshairs of this. So it's very surreal to realize that, we become friends on our site. We have a lot of repeating people that come, and when you start to see your friends that you make in the path, you get a little, you start to become more interested in the Storm. I mean, I will admit, when I started this whole venture, I only cared about Florida because that's where I lived. And since then now, I put the same effort, I hope, into all storms. Because I didn't, I personally did it for Florida. And then I started realizing, man, we got fans in everywhere, And then, hit home one time to me. I had somebody from the Caribbean. They're like, hey, man, we get hit with these things too. And I was like, wow, you're right. So, I mean, I evolved. Somebody asked about the hurricane hunters. Yes, that's the only if right now. I don't think there's any of this last second turn to the north. I don't see it. This high pressure is strong, and if that high pressure is strong, like Levi just pointed out, and that's what the hurricane hunters are finding, then it's going to ride this a little more to the west, and there's a potential, track change coming. At 11. Nothing's official by that. Trust me. I'm not an official source of information. Unless you want... Hey, I'm your friend too, Jackie. Yeah, I do. Yep, I do a little quickie too, by the way. So I'll do one quickie a day. I'm happy with one quickie a day. And I usually do it around 11:15, depending on when they release the 11 o'clock advisory. Because they'll have a new advisory. And we'll see if there's any changes. I don't expect huge changes with intensity. I expect a little shift to the west. I expect hurricane warnings probably will be popping up now. And don't expect any weird turn to the north. Don't expect this thing to magically die. Because if it does, then everything anybody's learned with hurricanes over the years means Zippo. Because we have warm water. We do have a little bit of cool water out there from, I brought this up a few times. It's not really even showing, but there is a little upwelling from Marco. But with our path that our system's taken, it's going to miss that. So that's probably not a big issue. There is, unfortunately, a hot pocket here that it can start feeding into Loop Eddy. So it is, this map shows it kind of good. This is more just how hot the water. So it is in a little cool area of water. This is the ocean heat content. So once it passes this little spot, this kind of is left over from Marco a little bit. This is the upwelling partly. But once it crosses into more of the middle Gulf, we're going to have zero shear, it appears, and warmer water. So this might be over far enough, but it doesn't matter. The Gulf's hot. We know that. There's enough fuel out there. There's a potential intensity map that I have below this barren map here that shows if everything was perfect as far as storm conditions, could the Gulf of Mexico or anywhere support? And what's the maximum that the atmosphere in the Gulf can support? And it can support sub 900, and it can support category 5. So, that's just telling you that the water is hot and all that other stuff. So let's look at the animated Whitney Super Duper map. We haven't seen this in a while. This shows you the amount of precipitation in the water, in the atmosphere. We'll watch it. Clear spin. Lots of moisture in the atmosphere. A little bit of dry air to the north. Maybe it could ingest some of that, but they're not calling for it. So serious moisture in the Gulf to feed from. So everybody in Louisiana, Texas needs to watch. If you're in that cone, you need to watch. Rain map, you can see the track, where it's going. Weekend, unfortunately, here. So we usually talk about all weather, but let's look at Storm Prediction Center real quick. This is the obvious, but tomorrow into tomorrow night, we'll start to see the risk of tornadoes, and look where they put this map. That's because of the counterclockwise flow of our system. So even the center line goes here. That's why we get the storms here. Just like with the core of Marco was here, right? All the shear went this way. Storms. That was because of the winds, but still, sheared system, eastern side heavy, hurricane, eastern side. And why is a hurricane that way? Because look, when you have a hurricane, even sheared or not, here's a hurricane approaching land, right? So a non-sheared system rotates counterclockwise. And over land, storms don't build as much because of the drier nature, of the land. So it starts two things. It starts building up the water. The water starts actually swirling around with the system. That's why the surge is heavy on this side. And that's why our squall lines are always heavier on the east side, because of the counterclockwise flow. Squall lines start to develop, and they whip in. They don't really develop over land. They whip in from the east, and these can obviously extend inland too. So that's why we see, and then sometimes this little bit of moisture with the dry pockets create more instability in the atmosphere, and we get even more tornadoes inland. And that's what we saw with Isaiah. Isaiah landed here and went straight north, right? We had tornadoes all the way up and down the east coast because our system was still fueling Gulf moisture, and that moisture went inland. Just like Florida. Florida gets, these squalls that come through Florida. We get, DeLand the other day, but the big tornadoes, Lakeland, DeLand, and stuff. You get this instability off the water moisture, but things are a little more stable along the coast. And once this moisture feeds into the dry nature of land, you get this competing atmospheric conditions, kind of like out west, and that's why inland a little bit you get sometimes stronger tornadoes. So when this thing comes ashore, we're not only going to have water spouts here, but inland's always a threat as these squall lines go inland. And like I said, you saw with Isaiah, we'll see it here more than likely. Well, not that far over, like in here. So look, I just drew a guy. This is Laura. Oh no, that'd be a Bob. We can make her a blob. I probably shouldn't do that. So erase that, Shelly. All right. So anyway, serious thoughts are for our friends out that way. Big day ahead of planning if you're going to evacuate. And we'll see what the 11 o'clock advisory. This might be the advisory. Everything gets real. We might see tornado warnings, mandatory evacuations start to begin. So if I was you, I would start making hotel reservations now, before the rush. Think about it. And think about this. Think about your path home. Because if your main source is I-10 and you get a hotel on I-10, I-10 might not be open to get back home. So, I'd take a path that was easier to get home on the back roads. And I'll post all the 511 links. I wouldn't get a hotel in Middle Texas in case this thing takes more of a west jog. I would bet my money up here somewhere, because usually I-10 gets crazy. So anyway. All right, we've been an hour. Listen, I know I can't read all the comments. This thing slows down. If you enjoy the thread, awesome. Listen, when there's not a hurricane, we only average 1,000 people maybe, because there's really not a lot to talk about. So I can spend more time looking at the comments, and we can have more fun and talk about all kinds of weather. If you're a supporter, and we got our little community section, we have a lot of our diehards helping each other. And sometimes Facebook this time gets crazy with comments. So I know we have a lot of private stalkers out there that don't even worry about Facebook, because sometimes the threads get a little out of control. and it's easy to get worked up. So, and I got one more sip of coffee and I'm done. So I'll read the last few comments we got here. There's our girl Erin. What's up? There's Nikki Brispo. What's cooking? Yes, people staying behind. You know, it's scary to think that we might get a cone shift and people went to bed, you know, now they wake up to having to worry about it. So, what's up, Dale? Good to see you, brother. What's cooking, Dale? Let's see. What's cooking locally? Nothing. Hot. Heat advisory. We have softball this weekend. Hopefully there'll be nothing and I can be a drunk donkey. I want to be a drunk donkey. Hey, Lori, be safe over there in Houston, will ya? Gene sent me a message. Oh, sent you a message. Yes, Don, it is. Don hooked me up with a coffee warmer. I got the best fans. I tell you what. I get so many gifts. I feel like I joke we're on a little house in the prairie days. Like you trade my blogging for chickens. And again, I got to go back to my site, man. It is so awesome that we are a huge weather family. And a lot of these major companies that, like Sparks here, been with me forever. He was a fan of mine. The funny story with Sparks, man, they're huge, I guess. I know they're huge because they wanted to sponsor back when, you know, hey, put our banner, give you a few bucks. And I was, all right. Well, then I emailed them the next year and they never wrote me back. And I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. And then I said, maybe they're just like a little company and they come and go. Well, then I go to Talladega in April and they're the title sponsor of Talladega, the Sparks Energy 300. I'm like, oh, I guess they're a little bigger than that. But like I said, you know, all these lodging solutions, they come up and bring portable housing. And I didn't even know this industry existed. Had no idea that there's portable housing semis that roll in, 42-man bunk sleeping trailers. Fascinating stuff. Tents. Look at that. I mean, that's like high-tech stuff, man. It's incredible. So props to them, man, because that, you know, these are the guys that show up after storms. Our line workers, our cleanup crews, you know, I mean, and they're supporters of our site. That's why I'm going to prop them. I love it. They rely on our site. Like Tammy mentioned last night. Tammy, been a long-time supporter, and she posted in our chat room that her business relies on us. So that means a lot. So I appreciate you guys trusting me. So, all right, so we're going to wait for the 11 o'clock advisory. Then I'll do a 5-minute quickie. 5-minute quickie. I'm on the Tom and Dan show today at 2. That'll be hopefully aired soon, so we'll talk hurricanes. So if you're a Tom and Dan show, check it out. The broadcast at 2 o'clock. And then, so important dates, important time frames for this storm is 11 o'clock advisory. Very important advisory. Probably the most important advisory of the storm. This will be where they decide if this thing is, you know, inching close to Galveston or Houston. You know, warnings are going to be issued. That means evacuations are going to start to be issued. It's going to go get chaotic in Texas and Louisiana, no matter what. So, you know, if you're in an evacuation zone, man, you know, beat the rush if you got to get out. You know, this the models don't lie. At this point, you know, just like with Michael, you know, I see all these models predicting major. They were showing it last night. They finally put the M up. You know, I knew they were a little slow. They don't knee-jerk reaction, but so that's that. You know, the gas is so big. You know, having a plan for a generator. Make sure your generator starts. A lot of people don't realize that, you know, with the ethanol and the gas now, your gas lines get clogged and carburetors. So you might not be able to start your generator. So make sure it runs. Put some fuel stabilizer in it. Let it run an hour. Get it running. You know, make sure you have gas. Make sure you have fresh gas. if you have gas cans laying around, they actually collect moisture, and you'll be putting in wet gas. You don't even realize it. So it's a good idea just to dump the gas out, or I don't know what you do with bad gas anymore. My dad used to kill weeds with it, but now you go to prison. So I'm like, don't dump the gas outside. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know where to put the gas. You call your locals on that. But fresh gas, my thing is, I always say it, but you might not think about it, but make sure you have extension cords, if you do stay and you need, because there's going to be power outages way north. If you don't have extension cords, what good's a generator? Make sure you have plenty of battery backups for your phones. Make sure you have extra phone charger wires. Make sure everything, you have plenty of the little battery banks. Make sure they're high milliamp. It's probably too late to order them now, but the little battery milliamp thingies you plug your phones in are big. Have a weather radio. Remember, on my website here, I have NOAA weather radio. If you ever get lost and you need, you need to know what's going on, it defaults, I think, to tropical weather. So that's a very important link on my site.
The tropical weather outlook issued at 7:09 a.m. for the North Atlantic.
So again, the website's not about Spaghetti Mall. There's a lot of good stuff on here. So that's right here. And then I'll start maybe today after the little quickie, I'll start putting up Louisiana and Texas DOT information, and I'll also put Texas and Louisiana emergency the whatever you guys call them, the emergency networks. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about, EOC. So I'll put the EOC and DOT stuff up top here so you can see it, because that'll be important information if you need to know from your local authorities. So always listen to your local authorities in a time like this, and you can also access them here on my site right here, the National Weather Service Active Alerts map. You can click on it goes to weather.gov. Just click your current county if you want the latest on information. So, all right, we'll see y'all. Be safe. Stay tuned to the weather. And, of course, I'll be here with you every step of the way. Promise. Bye-bye.